Hi, my name's John Pitchers, a co-founder of TruStrata, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can go from data to story in a matter of seconds. In this example, I've already got the data loaded, but what you normally will do is upload an SPSS file and then provide some additional context with that if you want. So that could be the questionnaire spec, a previous report, anything in a PDF, Word, or PowerPoint format. The system will then learn about your data and it will process it and produce this enhanced version of your data. So it will tag up research types. So is this a demographic, categorical rating scale, things like that? Are they series of statements? So here, group visit reasons is a series of 19, so it's picked that out. Are there don't knows, quasi missing values? So this is really where it learns about your data, builds up its knowledge and context so that when you come to this chat, it's very well informed to be able to start asking questions about your data. Right now, there are two main ways of using the chat. So if you type a /, there are a number of different commands you can use. But if you see this key insights one here, what that will go and do is that will go and look at your data, test numerous different hypotheses with all the different tools and analytics available to it, and then it will come back and tell you what are the stories within this data set. That is still in beta mode. Or what I'm going to show you in this video now is if you already have a hypothesis and you can just start asking and testing that in the chat just in simple natural language. Before we get started with asking some questions, the last thing to kind of mention is that when your chat starts, you will kind of be given some example analysis areas that you could explore if you don't already know what you want to look at. So it's kind of picked out what's in my data set here and given me some suggestions. You can also just ask in the chat what are some example analysis I could run on this data set, and it will give you a tailored response based on the data set you are using. To start asking questions, it's simply about just typing in this chat box at the bottom what you want to explore. So I'm going to say, how do the brand ethics statements, top two box, vary by age? I'm just going to hit enter. I'll pause here and let it run through, and then once it's done, I'll talk you through what has happened. So the first thing you'll notice is at the bottom there, this took 146 seconds to produce all of this. So if I just go back to the top using the contents, I'll show you what's happened. So the first thing the system does is it reasons about your query. So it will look at what you've said and it will understand, do I have enough information here to be able to answer what they're asking? And in this example, it needed to go back and find some additional context. So it's built in a way that it won't just go and blindly do whatever you've asked. If it needs some more information, it may check with you. It may go back and look at the data dictionary. So it's really this kind of reasoning step is built in to be able to make sure that it can answer your question accurately. Once it has produced that, it will then compute the analysis tables. So in this example, it was a series of 7 statements. It's cut those by age. These are also tells you here the calculation used, so top two box, unweighted, and these can be exported into Excel. So it has noticed from the data dictionary that there was a brand element to this question. So it's gone away and run the same table for each of the different brands in the data set. So if I scroll down, it will show me each of those. And all of these can be collapsed and expanded out if you don't want to see all of this with significance testing built in. So just scroll through and there's each of a table for the 7 brands in my data set. The next step is it will actually explain what it's done to get there. So in this example, you might be thinking, wow, that's suddenly a load of tables. Like, how does it produce those? It will write out each of the different analysis steps it has taken to get there. So it's kind of not a black box, and you can really see what the system is doing. So kind of here it explains things like it's kept the don't know codes in the denominator. It's calculated top two box percentage on a 4 to 5 on a 1 to 5 scale. It's cross-tabbed these across different age groups and produced the tables for the different brands, and then applied significance testing at a 95% confidence. So it's really kind of helping to build that trust that the results that it's showing are correct, and you have a way of then going back and kind of validating what has been done. Another key step is the quality checking results. So here it will flag low base sizes, any kind of data caveats that you need to be aware about before kind of interpreting the analysis. So there could be cases where you might want to net up two variables to roll up the base size. It will call these things out. So again, it's all about making sure that high quality output when it gets to the next steps, and it's stuff that you can review yourself, so you are also aware of these things when you're reviewing analysis. Then once all the kind of data tables, analysis, and quality checking is out of the way, it will start writing you your narrative. So this block of text here is the narrative summary that kind of like the top line, it's pulled out from your query, giving you some of the insights, comparing the results, and letting you know what the narrative behind that query you asked is. One thing you might be thinking at the moment is, this is a lot of output just for a simple question. If you were to ask something a bit more simple, like just show me the counts for these statements by age, it wouldn't run through all this. That would be kind of treated as a snapshot query. It's more these kind of investigation hypothesis queries where all of this stuff will kind of come out. One key point to note is that TruStatMind is built on a statistics engine. So it's not just taking your data and sending it to a large language model and saying, do this. It has a number of guardrails built in, tools that it can use, statistical calculations. So in that way, we've been able to use and kind of apply advanced analytics. So currently in the system, there is key drivers analysis, XGBoost, shade, correlations, and correspondence analysis that can all be used by the system. So for this query, it has identified that I can run a correspondence analysis. So it has done one of those for each of the different brands within the dataset, just like it did for the tables. And these are kind of all interactively visual within the chat. And so kind of I can come here and quickly see, 18 to 34-year-olds are distinguished by the brand behaving ethically at total level. And the same here for Brewhouse, for example, and it's just a kind of a quick way of getting to more richer, advanced and analysis from your data. So it's done one of those for each of the different brands. The last thing in the chat that will be produced is what we call an insight bulletin. So this is where it summarizes everything into the key insights with charts, commentary and sections, which you can then here you can download as a PowerPoint, a PDF, a HTML file, or you can create a shareable link and just add a password and distribute that to kind of stakeholders, clients. It's also important to note that you can also type over these. So these are generated by the system, but if you want to come in here and change this to, say, demographics, for example, you can come in here and edit all of the text because you know your client's language better than we do, so these can all be amended. You can also ask in the chat to say, turn this into a dashboard style or something like that, and the visuals can be amended there. But I'll just pop this out now into full screen so you can kind of get a better idea of what it's doing. So it's kind of broken it down into sections in this query, and all these charts are interactive again. So it's kind of the system here pulling out what is the key insight, what are the key charts from your query. And then again, if you want to amend this to be a line chart, for example, you could just ask in the chat and it would do that for you, or you could change the language. And then here, just keep scrolling down, and then it will put the kind of data appendix. So kind of the data behind each of the different charts, and also the methodology footnote. So what variables have been used, what banner groups, so what cross break, the metrics, how a don't knows, how significant, how it's been tested. Again, really giving you that traceability of what has been done by the system. And before I move on to kind of amending this infographic, one thing just to mention is that if you do have your own PowerPoint template, you can upload that into the system. And these bulletins, infographics, and anything that kind of gets exported from the system in a visual format will use your own format. So it will take the fonts, the colors, the PowerPoint template where applicable. Now I've got my bulletin. I'm just going to pop into the chat. Just, turn this into a dashboard style, kind of add some tab sets and call outs for the key insights. So here I really just want to show you kind of how flexible these are to be amended via the chat. So I'll just hit enter and then I'll resume once that's done. That has now refined the bulletin. So I'll just pop this out into full screen. So here what it's done is it has kind of given it a dashboard feel to it. So if I scroll down here, I ask for tab sets. It's produced those for some of the key metrics here. Again, everything remains interactive. And then this kind of has gone from a quick key insight bulletin to a nice interactive dashboard that you could share with the client here. And now it's pulled out some of the key insights, and again, keeping the appendix and methodology so it's all kind of traceable and you can see what's been done behind the charts. So that's just a quick thing to show there. The last thing I'm going to show you in this video is how to turn all this into an market research style infographic. So what this will do is it will take all the information above and put that into an image, and these can kind of be easily shared around, downloaded as an image, easily shared around, and it really is kind of that quick executive summary of the key insights and the story behind the hypothesis and kind of question you were asking about. Again, this is probably something in my previous line of work that would have taken me a day, probably even longer to produce. And we can now just type / AI infographic here, and that will kick it off. And these take about a minute to produce. Again, if you have your PowerPoint template set, they will come out in your company's kind of fonts, style, things like that. So I'm just going to pause the video here and resume once it's generated. In about 60 seconds, that has produced this market research style infographic with kind of some nice graphics, key takeaways, all of the different data from the bulletin and tables above, even kind of with some caveats and some cautions here. And you can use this chat here to refine that if you wanted to remove some of the icons or change the title. You can type in this box here to refine it yourself that way. This is an image, however, so you can't actually type over anything. But this box here is a way you can do that. So, if you were to change some of the colors, things like that, again, it can be downloaded as an image, or you can open out in a full screen and view it in more detail. So that is everything I am going to cover in this video. Please do get in contact if you want to book a demo or anything like that. I'm happy to answer any questions about TruStatMind or any of the other TruStrata products. So, yep, looking forward to hearing from you, and hopefully this video has been informative to kind of demonstrate some of the capabilities of what we have to offer. So, thanks for watching.